Live. That was quick. I just went from session 7 with the kiddos to now session 8 for the shredders. So I'm back on, and we're going to do this. We're working on modes. So this is cool, and modes are fun. We are kind of gone through Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian. So just a quick repeat of those things. We're working with G major, actually. So we're just working within this. And remember, we're the G, as you guys might see it, is like that, or 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 like that. Okay, so that's enough. But anyway, G. Now, our Ionian that we learned, I had you guys learn it this way. Like that. And the reason why we did it like that, if you remember, does anybody remember why we did it like that? We did it like that because I want you guys to remember that. I wanted you guys to see that your fingers, I want you to see this kind of like where you're in this mode, and then you come into that mode, then you go into this mode, then you go into this mode, then you go into that mode, and you kind of see how your eyes pick it up, almost like you're on a piano, right? Where you kind of see things kind of mapped out before you. Where guitar, we're looking down at our instrument, which is different, right? A piano is like that, where they're hitting keys and the strings are inside kind of being plucked, but they're looking at things this way. We're looking at things a little different. We're looking at them down this way, which is a little more harder, I guess. But for me, it's all I've known, really. I did 2 years of piano in college. But anyway, so this is your Ionian. And then you had your Dorian. Remember Dorian? And then you had your Phrygian. And then you had your Lydian. And now we're going to get into Mixolydian. All these Greek terms, man, crazy, right? Now I want you to see that Lydian. Hopefully you guys are getting a good close-ups of this. That's why I wanted to put my camera like this. But your Lydian was like this. So it looked like that. And then you had your, down in Mixolydian, it's basically, now you're just starting here. Instead of starting on the 1 of Lydian, now you're on 2. And you're adding that one. So remember, we're in G major. So when you're in G major, what's up, Jenna? There's your G major, just like that. It can all be on one string. Isn't that cool? And the modes are just going to, what separates one mode from another is which mode we start on. Which one? Are we going to start on this one? 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 And now we're back at the octave, right? How many notes are there in a scale? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8th is the octave, back to 1, right? That's what 8 is. So when you hear terms that say, hey, you're playing a ninth chord, a seventh chord, an 11th chord, a suspended chord, well, let's keep out the suspended right now. But when you hear those numbers, those are numbers in the scale. So that's what it is. It's just numbers in the scale. Isn't that cool? So that's what it is. So the modes, the scales, the modes that we're learning, these just, what differentiates one from another mode is just on what note we're starting on. If we start on this one, that is Ionian. If we started on the second one, that's Dorian. If we started on the third one, that's Phrygian. If we started on the third one, that's called Lydian. If we started on the next one, it's Mixolydian. If we started on the next one, the sixth one, right, that's Aeolian. If we started on the seventh, that would be Locrian. And then we go back to Ionian. So Locrian is the seventh, Aeolian's the sixth, Mixolydian is the fifth, Lydian's the fourth, Phrygian's the third, Dorian's the second, Ionian's the first. So whenever you hear someone saying I'm playing a mode, it can be any one of those modes, right? Absolutely. Now remember, another interesting thing again about these modes is they're all within the same, like if I played the first mode, Ionian, if I wanted to play Dorian, I would just start on the second. If I wanted to play Phrygian, I would start on the third. If I wanted to start Lydian, I would start on the fourth. If I wanted to play Mixolydian, I would start on the fifth. If I wanted to play Aeolian, I would start on the sixth. If I wanted to start Locrian, I'd start on the seventh. So all the modes are in each other. It's just what's differentiating the mode is that you're starting on a different note of that scale. That's it. So when we're in that G major, right? There's the Ionian. Now look at, there's Dorian. And then we go into the Phrygian. Then we go into the Lydian. Now we're going to go into Aeolian. See, it's all in that G. Now we're going into the Aeolian right here, sorry. And I've always liked Aeolian. It's got a cool sound to it. So to me, Aeolian's got that really cool kind of sound to it. Just really rippable, you know. To me, that's just a really cool sound. So, but you can see how they're all, when you're playing G, again, there's the G major scale. So you're just playing, all the modes are based off of these notes. See, there's Aeolian. So you can see how that works, man. All I'm doing is playing the same stinking scale. I'm just actually moving it over. It's very, very cool, man. So if you can get the theory of it, it starts making sense. You're like, whoa. Again, Aeolian is it's just the seventh or the sixth note of the Ionian. So if you're in Ionian, the just regular major scale, if I start on the sixth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I started there. You hear that? See, look at. Isn't that crazy? It's just the sixth note of the major. So I'm hoping you guys are getting blown away by the theory of it, because when the theory of it gets it, you go, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's really simple. I mean, it's not that complicated. There's a scale, major scale. But if I start on a different note of that scale, that determines the mode. The second, if I start on the second, it's Dorian. If I start on the third, it's Phrygian. If I start on I went through this already, but you get the point. If I start on the fourth, it's Lydian. Fifth, Mixolydian. Sixth, Aeolian. Then Locrian would be the seventh. So you kind of get that, right? I'm hoping you guys get that. So really, if you know the major scale, and you might know it this way. Then that's what you're doing. That's what it is. Now, so what we want to do is we want to be able to play these modes up and down. We want to be able to, again, play like, then come over here to Dorian, then come over here to Phrygian, then that's Lydian, then go into Mixolydian, then go into Aeolian, then come back up, Locrian, then go right into our Ionian again. So that's what you want to do, because again, what you're practicing is just the modes. Now I'm starting on the second. Now I'm starting on the third. Now I'm starting on the fourth. Now I'm starting. So I think you're getting the picture of it. But the point of it is so you can come from over here all the way to its octave. So remember that the guitar is just repeated at the 12th fret. So if you're playing a G and you play the G major scale, and you know the pattern for Dorian, then you know you can come up here and you're still in G. You can come over here and play the Phrygian. So you might be really fast at playing Phrygian. You might not. I don't know. You might be faster at Dorian. It depends. You know, you might be faster at playing an Ionian. I don't know how you guys play. But thing is you might really like how it... You might like that Phrygian sound. You might like that Aeolian sound. You know, that kind of different note. To me, Aeolian's cool, especially when I'm doing newer kind of style playing. Kind of, those are some crazy string skipping stuff. So anyway, I was getting a little carried away there, wasn't I? But you get the idea, hopefully, that as you're playing these scales, I'm not getting out of the key signature. I'm staying within the key signature that I'm playing. So when you see a guitar player, if they're in G, now most like times when you hear like, you know, a lot of songs, you know, a lot of times they'll stay. You'll hear stuff like this. And we're not in that realm yet. That's like a pentatonic, what we call a pentatonic scale. But pentatonics have patterns too. Just as this one scale we saw we can move it. We can move it. We can move it, right? So that's all the way through them. But you can move that scale all the way over. When you hear that blues scale, right? You guys have heard that before. That kind of like, it's kind of a bluesy sound. If you remember old music, like old Sabbath, that guy Tony Iommi, he always was like, very much big into that. But that's a very popular. It's a very popular sound. I mean. So anyway, it's really popular, but we're not going to play pentatonic right now, because when I teach you guys pentatonic, by the way, we're going to do it this way. We're going to learn the full pentatonics. Because this is how we jam. I mean, it's way cool when you play pentatonics that way. So anyway, but we're not doing pentatonics yet. There's a really interesting kind of thing with the pentatonics. I keep looking at the screen instead of at the camera, but there's different whole step, half step kind of structure to the pentatonics. But the modes are just major and minor. And so if you're playing in a minor scale, you know, you play a minor, you can play a mode, but all the modes are within every other mode. So it's just what string you're starting on. I keep beating that into you guys. So what you want to do is go to Google, get the look at modes, guitar modes. You'll see them: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. When I look these up, I mean, some people have some different little changes in them and things of that nature, but they're all the same. I mean, it's not really a big deal. Some of the different formats of them, but they're all really the same thing. So just pull up one of them and just start looking at them, and you're going to see it says Ionian, and it's going to look like this. And that's okay. I've just taught you guys this pattern. But it's okay that they teach you this pattern. And remember, guitar is just a repetition of notes. That's all it is. It's just a constant repetition of notes. So whatever we play this way, we can play the same notes that way as we go this way. So just as I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8's the octave, right? You can go this. So if you just had one string, right? You broke all your strings. You're on stage. You're just cranking, right? You break everything, right? You got one string. You could still rip on that. Right? And there was a guy named Eddie Van Halen. Right? You know Eddie Van Halen, but you know, just ripping on one string, you know, just so you know that's all the scale is. And so we're just, you can play it that way, you can play it this way, and when you see guitar players playing this style, where they're quote all over the neck, all they're doing is just extending, playing different octaves of the same thing. So is that making sense to anybody out there? Is anybody going, I kind of get this. I'm kind of getting this a little more. This is kind of, no, you're not. You're not getting it at all. You're getting it. You're not getting it. You're not, yes, you are. So if you're in the key of G, right? You can play, you can look up on Google, go to modes and look, just if you're in the major, if you're in a major key, just look at Ionian and just go, okay, where's Ionian? And just look at how they're doing it. And you'll see that they'll have the scale pattern for you guys. And the trick is that every chord that you're playing is in that scale. So when you're playing the key, the G key, and you're going to a C, then you're going to E minor, whatever it is, you're going back to a C, and you go back to G. It's all in that Ionian scale. If you were to bust out of that Ionian scale, this is how it would sound. And guess what? Your ear is going to know. It's going to go, whoa, that sounds a little weird. That's right. So now what we're doing is when we're playing a 7th chord or a 9th chord or an 11th chord, what we're doing is we're playing that note in that scale, that Ionian scale. So when we're in G, and I looked up and I go, oh, the first G, the first mode is a major mode, and it is Ionian. So I look at it because I'm in a major key, G major. I look up this. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. You want to play a 7th chord? Now this is popular. Right? That's a 9. That's a 7. So let's play the 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, a 9, by the way, if you're doing some math with me right now, you're going, well, Bo, there's only 7 notes to the scale. That's what you said. Why are you going to 9? Well, because 9, I'm just saying I'm going 1 past the octave. That's another way of saying it. Now, instead of saying 9, do you know what else you could say? 2. It's the same note, right? So check this out. So 9, let's play the scale. Let's go past the octave, which is 8, right? And let's go to the 9. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the octave. Now let's go to 9. Right? So 9 is the same as, that's the same. It's just an octave, same note, right? One's just higher than the other. That's all. So when you're in G and you're like, man, I want to add the 9th. Cool, huh? They're right there. So instead of playing your songs with just the boring G, right? Add the 9. So sometimes when you go, then you switch to like a C, it might sound, to the ear, it might be cooler, right? It might sound like, whoa, you're doing something different. Well, yeah, you're just adding notes to that chord, okay? So, and then that's how it works, okay? That's how it's going. That's how the things are rolling. So hopefully that's making some sense to you guys. Does that make some sense? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the 7th chord. There's the 9th chord right here. Add the 9. And so when they say add 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is the same as what? What'd you guys say out there? It's the same as what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah. So 11th is the 11th note of the scale is the same as the 4th note of the scale. Why? Because there's only 7 notes to major or minor. And then it hits the 8th, which is the octave, and then it repeats. So when they say 11th, they're saying go past the octave to the 11th. And now play that. It's kind of got a weird sound. So when you play that 11th, it wants to go where? It wants to go to that 3rd. So you can kind of hear that in my ear. I can hear that. So that's how kind of you see how learning the scales are cool, because you can kind of go, oh, I see. So I'm in Dorian. That's kind of what I'm playing in. So now I know if I'm playing in Dorian, maybe my 7th, it's going to look a little at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's your 7. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah, of course we have. So you can see how this works, right? When you look at the modes, you can start on the first of each mode and then go to the 7th or go to the 8th or go to the 9th or go to the 11th, or these kind of things, and you can kind of start building chords. Isn't that cool? You can start building chords now, which is really fun based off of these different modal scales, which is kind of cool, and it kind of expands your mind again. It kind of just blows up everything and makes you go, whoa, I can start maybe doing this or maybe doing that, and that's what's fun. I know when I'm writing a piece, I'm always thinking about maybe what mode I'm in, how I can maybe go into a different mode and maybe it's going to sound a little different, or those kind of things. So, there's always things you can do. So I'll play kind of some of my stuff, and you can kind of see that it's all modal music, but I'm just kind of going in and out of different ones. So this is kind of an interesting one. So I'm just going in and out of these different mode structures. That was a pentatonic right there. So something like that. You get a feel for how I'm just constantly going into different parts of these modes. So they're just different. The only, I think, that was the only one I think that was the only I think a pentatonic scale I played throughout all that. Everything else was major or minor within the modes that I'm teaching you. So can you hear them in that? You can hear that playing. My style playing is within the modes. That's what's going on. So I hope that kind of is kind of cool. Yeah, I use it all the time. Now I play some interesting arpeggios. Sometimes I'll play this kind of weird skipping kind of arpeggio instead of playing like an arpeggio based off the modes, which like if we were going to base them off our Ionian and our Dorian, you know. So if you were going to play modes or arpeggios based off the mode, like if you're in G, your Ionian, right? Or G major, just like that. All you're adding is this third. And then you come up here to Dorian. But sometimes I like to get out of the box a little bit, and I like to kind of freak people out a bit. Let's see, I'll call that guy right back. Sometimes I like to play these things that sound like this. Woo. And you can hear how cool that sounds. Don't it sound cool? Like especially if you play it within like a progression. It sounds really cool, right? And so, you know, you just look at that. So a lot of what I'm doing in that song I played with you is that way too. And so I'll teach you guys those things later on too, so you can kind of see how cool that is. So when you're playing, sometimes like I think I was. So I remember one song I have, arpeggio. So you see how that worked, huh? Where you guys are like, what? No, but you see what I did is I'm playing within the modes. Then I found that cool. So when you're playing modal music, remember you're always going in and out of major and minor. What's differentiating whether you're in major or minor is where you start the note. If I'm playing that Ionian scale, when I start on the second note, if that's what I'm starting on, I'm in minor, right? If I start on the third, I'm in minor. If I start on the next one, you know, it changes up whether it's going to sound major or minor. Some of them sound a little bit of both at times. It really does. That's why I love the modes that are called Lydian, Mixolydian, because to me, they sound so cool. So anyway, to me, those ones, the ones that are coming up the scale, those are really cool ones because you don't know if they're really major or minor at times. You kind of got to hear it a little bit, and then you go, oh, okay, that's major. But it definitely sounds minor. It just depends on what note you're starting on the shredding part and what you're stopping on. So if you know a scale, a major or minor scale, just start that scale on the second note and play it through, ending on the second note. It's going to sound different. And then start the note on the third of that original scale and then finish on that third. And then it's going to sound different. And on the fourth, just do it like that. Does that make sense? And that way you'll start going, whoa, that's weird. All we're doing again when we come down here on the neck is we're just playing it in different octaves, and that's and because we're coming down the neck and we're starting on this first note, this sixth note all the time with these scales, it's kind of looking different, but it's really all the same pattern. So man, I hope that was fun for you guys. And then you can get into I have some cool stuff like that. So you can see how I'm always using that little that sound. So we'll kind of split that up too. I'll kind of show you how to figure those little weird parts out too. So when you're in this major and minor, you can bump out of it a little bit and play these other weird things that are still major and minor, but you're just adding these 11ths and these 9ths and these 7ths, and that's what's making it cool. And again, if you're playing worship music out there, you know, the reason why things make you cry, or the reason why they sound cool, like I was just listening to this song that was posted by one of the famous singers, and I forget her name, but she's like a worship leader girl. something short, I forget, black hair anyway. It was her and her husband maybe but they were playing a song and it's really cute. But the reason why they sound good and it makes you sad is right when you play the seventh is what hits your brain and gets you to think. It automatically gets you to contemplate. So if I play the ninth, that also makes you kind of think. If I play a minor ninth, what does that sound like? Like, let me put it on this. Like here, you can hear it. Now I'm going to play all within the Ionian. But you hear how that makes you think? Isn't that crazy? So it's like what makes a song sad or contemplative or those things are not the words. It's super sad to say that to you guys too, because so many times when we listen to like a song, like it can be even a worship song, we always go, whoa, you know, we can feel sad and beautiful just with God, like, wow, that's amazing. We think it's the words, but the words have something to do with it. But believe me, what's accompanying the words is what's really dropping the bomb on your heart. And that is, it's what note we're going to add to the chord, what's part of the scale we're going to add to the chord, and certain notes that are in the scale are designed miraculously, I must say, to impact your mind. So when you look at the Ionian scale, and I play a G, and I add the seventh, isn't that crazy? So the regular G, so you can play a kid's song. But then all of a sudden, if you put in a note, it doesn't sound so kiddie anymore. And it's because that seventh note, the seventh of the G, is hitting your ear, and it's a dissonant sound. So isn't that cool? When you hear that seventh, doesn't that sound cool? Woo! Seventh. But you get that, you hear that note, and all of a sudden your brain goes, man, that's contemplative. That's amazingly contemplative. See, and that's what gets you to, if you do it enough times, like on the guitar or on a piano, if you play it enough, happens is you start the repetition of those sevenths just get very, very contemplative and you start really thinking through things. And then all of a sudden your heart's heavy because of something you did wrong, right? And then you cry maybe, right? And you feel sad, right? And it's cool, man. I mean, we don't have to, we don't poo-poo the words at all, man. They're awesome. They're great words and they mean everything to us when we sing songs, love songs, songs to God or things of that nature. They're beautiful, but you always have to remember that it's actually the notes that you're adding to the chord that's actually creating something in your brain. And we somehow were created in a way where our brains pick up on these notes in amazing ways. So when you hit certain notes, they automatically move you to want to maybe be contemplative or be happy or be sad or all those things like that. So it's all in the notes, man. It's all in the modes. And modes just means methods. That's all it is, from ancient Greek, right? Just as you've heard of the Greek Septuagint, maybe the Greek version of the Bible. So this is the Greek of the guitar. That's kind of cool too. So anyway, I hope, man, that was a heavy duty 50-minute long guitar lesson right there. That's worth like, I don't know, $50 a person maybe? No, I'm just joking. But I hope you guys got a little bit out of that. And if anything, just got interested in more of the guitar. And what we can do together too is we can kind of dissect some of these things that I play, just so you get to know where they're coming from. Because when you know where they come from, you start going, whoa, that's cool. So again, whatever scales that's great. Just keep playing them. Just start on the second, start on the third, start on the fourth, start on the fifth, start on the sixth, start on the seventh, and you got the modes. Okay? So whatever. Now, if you know pentatonics, it's not going to work like that, and we'll work on those pentatonics. Again, pentatonics are what we call the blues scales. And so we'll work on that another time. But man, anyway, you can comment and let me know if this made any sense at all, or if it was just you just like the shirt. So anyway, guys, you guys take care. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.